Sup Divers, welcome back to In the Deep End. I am your host Cosmic,
And I'm your co-host Twist.
and today we have a special guest. Would you like to introduce yourself?
I sure would. Hey, it's Jellyroll.
We got Jellyroll. And are we doing Jellyroll? We doing Jelly for short?
Yeah, Jelly for short's good.
Awesome. Guys, and today's topic is going to be, are you really a feminist? If many of you are like me, you need to know what the definition of feminism actually is. So I have the definition here. The definition of feminism is an interdisciplinary approach to issues of equality and equity based on gender, gender expression, gender identity, sex, and sexuality as understood through social theories and political activism. Twist, would you consider yourself to be a feminist?
Absolutely.
You would.
I would. However, I like to consider myself a hybrid, if that makes sense. I do have feminist ideas, but I also have, some traditional values that I believe in as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a time and place for each of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And even in any sort of traditional situation, I do want my opinion, for example, to be heard and considered seriously. I want my opinion to matter. I'm smart and have a head on my shoulders, and I want someone else to see and appreciate that. But I also believe in, the man and wife role as well. So I like to consider myself a hybrid.
Interesting. So, Jelly, are you a feminist?
I would have to say that I do not identify myself as a feminist.
Mm-hmm.
Although, by outward assumption, some would probably say that I am. But I do not identify as such. I'm more of a traditionalist when it comes to gender roles. So, maybe the two can peacefully coexist, but I don't identify myself as a feminist now.
Okay, interesting. So, the topic of discussion today is it seems that a lot of female rappers and artists in today's age have a lot of explicit music, and everyone has their opinions about. A lot of them feel like it's their right, and it's a feminist movement for women to be comfortable about their sexual promiscuity. So what do you think about that, Twist?
Well, as far as the music that has evolved, I'd say over the last 5 to 10 years, if you will, I would be more, maybe 5 would be more of what I think I want to say. But promiscuity is pushed through social media, music, movies, television. Peer pressure is at an all-time high when it comes to promiscuity, and it's all around us. Now, it's very difficult when you come from a family that's very religious based. And according to the Bible, it says, promiscuity is a sin. Now, do you have to be considered a feminist if you're promiscuous?
But wouldn't you say that men are promiscuous?
Well, yes, but
And in the Bible, does it differentiate between men and women?
It does not. It says people. However, there was an article written in 2021 with Health News that basically said the old double standard lives on, and how men view women who are, in quotes, promiscuous.
But
it is still frowned upon.
But we agree that was created by man.
So
it only makes sense that it shines in their favor.
Of course.
And what do you think about it, Jelly?
I tend to agree with Twist. I see it the same way in that when I look back at what feminism looks like to me, and then I compare it to what I see currently in popular culture, it's a little confusing for me.
What is confusing?
It's confusing in that the promiscuity, that promiscuous image
Okay.
is seen as power.
Okay.
And, I don't know, maybe because I'm from a different generation, maybe I'm a little too old school in the way I think, but I do agree with Twisted. There is definitely a double standard. Men can, have any kind of behavior, but that stigma still sticks with women that if you sleep with more than one person, you're a hoe.
Right.
So I'm conflicted when it comes to that feminism identifier in today's culture, because to me it's just, what does it mean? Like, what does
Well,
it mean
by
to be a
definition, earlier in the podcast, feminism, and for the listeners who didn't catch it, is an interdisciplinary approach to issues of equality and equity based on gender, gender expression, gender identity, sex, and sexuality, as understood through social theories and political activism.
And
So that challenges Twist's social theory of the double standard lives on. That is what the goal of feminism is, to deconstruct these social theories that were created essentially to put women down.
well, if you think about it, the whole rollback of Roe v. Wade
Yes.
kind of lets all of us know the thought process of the powers that be when it comes to feminism and whether or not we should even have the right to make a decision with our bodies. Now, Jelly, you said earlier that you did not identify as a feminist. So how do you feel when it comes to women's rights and their right to vote, their right to have an opinion, their right to run for political office? All of those things fall under feminism.
To own property.
To own property,
To
exactly. To work, to not have to be under the thumb of some man.
So that's what I was saying. To me and my identity, I don't identify as a feminist. But when it comes to like the social aspect and the social construct, to me, a woman is a being, a man is a being. And I don't attach like being a woman as not having power. I'm a little unusual in that frame of thought that I have. So when it comes to women having their own, being able to own property, being able to, go and get birth control instead of getting a written letter from the doctor saying that it's okay, for you to have birth control, which is what was going on in our Mother's Day. They couldn't go to the doctor and get birth control on their own. They had to get some kind of approval saying, yes, I'm married and it's okay for my wife to have it.
But not agreeing with feminism. So when you say you're not a feminist, do you believe that they have the right to take away your rights that make women equal to men? So therefore, by definition, would you technically be considered a feminist?
Yeah, in that regard.
By definition.
By definition.
Aside from personal opinion.
Yes, by definition, absolutely. Those are definitely feminist ideals. We've come around. Well, what's the old thing that back in the 70s there was a magazine, the first women's magazine, women-centric magazine, and there were ads that were created for the magazine that specifically were for women. So there was one for a cigarette saying, "You've come a long way, baby."
Right. Virginia Slims, I think it was.
Right. So, looking at that and remembering what that felt like to me as a child, seeing, oh yeah, women are doing this. Yeah, it's great. In that regard, yes, I would say feminism. But
so what about feminism do you not agree with?
I just like to think of myself as just an individual. I don't want my gender. And I know society, you're judged by your gender.
Regardless of what you want, if you want to be or not.
Exactly. But for me and the way I think, I don't think of gender necessarily. I just want to be like, I want to be evaluated. I want to have the right that any other person would, regardless of their supposed gender. Like, everybody should have the right to vote, male or female. Everybody should have a right to make decisions about their body, male or female. So it's a little skewed the way I see it, but it makes sense to me.
It definitely, I guess I understand where you're coming from. And from what you say, your beliefs do line up with feminism. I believe what you're trying to say, it's in a way where, let's say for me, for instance, as being part of the LGBT AFBFD semicolon 123 community. It's like, as a bisexual person, part of the community, I hate to associate myself with the community because of the, let's say, the patriots of the community. So,
Okay.
but that does not necessarily mean that I'm excluded from the community. Whether I want to be a part of it or not, I am. So
Right.
I believe
Right.
that is what you're trying to say. Is that
Yes,
correct?
that is correct. That is
Okay.
right on
I
point.
can
Yes.
understand that. I understand how you
Mhm.
feel. So what
Mhm.
about it, about feminine patriots, do you not like?
It's not so much about not liking it.
Or that
You know,
rubs
I'm
you the
all
wrong
for it.
way?
I just don't like labels. I
So
don't like
cut and
labels.
dry, no matter the label.
Yeah, I don't like labels.
Well, let me ask you this question. If someone were to identify you as black, how would you feel?
Well, I am black, so you
But
know what I
being
mean?
black in
Like,
itself, is a label.
yeah, but it's, it's something that, because when you see me, I am black, so you know what I mean, like something that's identifiable by what somebody sees, perception, right?
Right.
In that regard, yeah, there's no arguing with, yeah, I am a black woman, but I don't know, I'm kind of scattered with, I see your line of thinking, but I don't know how to explain it and
Understandable,
why.
understandable. When it comes to the whole music industry and where things have gone in music as it applies to the women, that barrier was initially knocked down by our well-known favorite, one of our favorite superstars, Cardi B, when she came out with WAP. So
Uh-huh.
when she came out with WAP, everybody was like, this is great. This is a move of women being free to say what it is that they actually want when it comes to sex, just as men for many of years have dominated in the music industry talking about sex and their sexual pleasures.
Uh-huh.
However, a few months ago, Cardi B made a video and explained that she's not herself. She wouldn't consider herself a feminist. She believes in the patriarchy and a man having his role and a woman having her own role. Despite her lyrics, I don't clean, I don't cook, or I don't cook, I don't clean, but let me show you how I got this ring. Twist, how do you
Uh-huh.
feel about that?
Well, I can appreciate Cardi's opinion, and basically it was a lesson for us all because it's just entertainment.
It's just entertainment, you
It
feel?
doesn't it doesn't say anything about who that person is as an individual.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I think Cardi, like myself, I am a 100% woman.
Mm-hmm.
I have no problem with that label for me personally because I accept everything that is. And then that's why I said early on in the podcast that I think I'm a hybrid because I do have an opinion and I want it to be heard. But at the same time, I also enjoy being the woman that I am.
Meaning?
Meaning society lives on labels.
Okay.
Our society does.
Okay.
And whether that be woman, man, and that's why the whole debate right now about what's a woman is
You're
such a
right.
hot topic because
Right.
we are all under some sort of a label, whether we like it or not.
Right.
Yeah.
And I have embraced the labels that apply to me.
Mm-hmm.
Some people have tried to give me labels I don't appreciate, but I definitely just hold dear that I am a woman, and under that comes yes, that sometimes we have to fight for what we want, fight to be heard, and it's just the plight of our journey.
As it relates to the music industry and Cardi's statement, what do you have to say about that?
It's just entertainment. Like I
Mm-hmm.
said earlier, it's just entertainment. And you can never judge someone based on the lyrics of their song. But
Don't you believe there's always truth though to it, even
but
if it's not the whole song? You can't attach to the artist.
I also think that it was a really good thing for her to come out and say that because I think that her music, if you believe that this is how she feels, kind
Mm-hmm.
of guides women down the wrong path. And
Yes.
and she tried to reel that back in by saying in so many words, it's just entertainment, you guys. This is not how I really feel.
Or maybe it is embellishing in fantasy or what your deep desires may be, not necessarily that this is your lifestyle. Is that what you're trying to say?
Absolutely. And I think the problem too is that, people are saying now that, the poor kids, because they look at this social media stuff and they hear these songs and they think this is real life.
Right.
When it's not real life, it's all smoke and mirrors.
Right.
So I'm really happy that Cardi came out and told some truth.
And what do you think about the music industry, Cardi's breaking down of the wall, Jellyroll? What do you have to say about her making such a song and then coming back around a couple years later and saying how she does not consider herself a feminist? And I don't want to say she rolls back everything from the song, because like Twist said, it is entertainment and it could be a couple of other things. Like I said, she could embellish in a desire that isn't necessarily her everyday life, but Well,
I think that in general, I think we have difficulty separating fantasy from reality. And the reason why I say that is, like Twist was saying earlier, it's entertainment. Sometimes I don't know if that's like an American thing, I don't know, but our popular culture, sometimes we can't differentiate between what's real and who's a persona. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It looks like it's one and the same.
Right.
So I can appreciate art. Okay. I love Cardi B. I think she's great. It wasn't my type of song, but in terms of making a feminist statement, I did not think personally it made a feminist statement, even though by definition it probably is considered a feminist statement. But I think of it more as there's more to feminism than just saying why. You know what I mean?
Of course,
but you know
but
what I mean?
On the flip side, there's more to being a man than shake it like a salt shaker and booty down on me and all of these other derogative songs that men make, but nobody ridicules men. And you hear women all the time say, and I don't want to say complain, but complain about how they can't do the things that men do without being judged in society. However, you also hear a twist in your opinion where in a way women are their worst enemy in that way. You guys are tearing each other down and judging each other instead of accepting that this is a human being, and at the end of the day we do have a social construct that we must live in. However, at the end of the day, we're instinctually mammals. And everyone has their own desires. So when do we come to a place of breaking this thought of women should be this when men can be whatever, when everyone is human? When do we get to that point?
I think... Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Twist. No, go ahead.
I think that with that being said, let's use WAP for an example. I don't think WAP was the whole out feminism, yay.
Neither do I.
What I think is that it is okay for a woman to enjoy sex. It is okay for a woman to understand what her body means in a sexual act. I think that it's okay that, yes, I love sex just as much as you love it. And I know that this is what I'm going to bring to you in this experience. I think that's all WAP meant. Did it say something about feminism? Only in the respect that a woman is actually making a song such as this that was actually publicized, okay, and pushed out to the masses. That is the only part of feminism I think that song touched.
Okay. Well, after Cardi B came on the scene with WAP, Cardi B featuring Megan Thee Stallion, I'd like to give her credit as well. That opened the door for a lot of the rappers we now see, such as Sexy Red, Sukiana, Glorilla. I believe Big Lotto was actually a part of the music industry prior to this, and a few others that have taken what WAP was, which I thought WAP was an excellent song. It wasn't something that
It was tasteful.
It was tasteful in its own way. It wasn't oversaturated. Now we have songs such as "Fuck My Baby Dad" and "Get It Sexy," "Hood Rats" featuring Sukiana and Sexy Red. And the songs are just so vulgar. All they are talking about at this point is they want cum in their lungs. He's gonna lick my booty hole. And just all of this, I believe Glorilla says her so fat they think it's a dick or something. And so all of that is why it is disturbing that this music is available to the kids nowadays. And as Twist said, kids don't know how to differentiate, okay, this is an aspect of myself. Instead, they're like, okay, I'm going to make this my personality, basically.
Well, the thing too that bothers me about what you just discussed with Sukiana and Sexy Red and all those girls is that Cardi kind of opened the door for sexual expression. And these girls came in and just like kicked the door down.
Right.
And
straight off the hinges.
Instead of it being filling, your freedom, your sexual freedom, it's now vulgar and disgusting.
Right.
So you can't even appreciate the art of it and the freedom of it, because they took it to such an extreme
and
level.
One thing that I would like to mention is that though Cardi B's song may have been controversial, that is not the bulk. She only has one, maybe two songs, because Bongos is a hell of a lot better than WAP. But Cardi, that's not Cardi's whole game in the music industry. She has real rap music. She has what they call gangsta bitch music. She is a rapper. She actually has something to say in her music. All of these new girls, and this is my biggest problem, I love a dirty song. Don't get me wrong. I play all of the songs I mentioned are in my library now. But when that's all the music you're making, I just kind of feel like you're not even real, or you're not even an artist. I hate that. But how many men make music solely based off of sex that have blown up, and that's their whole thing, and they're successful? So from a feminist standpoint, I guess it is equality, but I hate to see it as, you don't just you see them in interviews and that's what they're about. You see them, you hear them in the music and that's what they're about. You just never get to see them as women. And I think that's where the two of you are coming from when you say that you believe that the derogatory music isn't all that feminism is.
No. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's how I feel too. And with the whole, let's face it, right? When you look at musical history from jazz early on, blues early on, there was always somebody with a really disgusting song.
Right.
Wow. Oh, it's always been there. But the difference I find today is that they will just say about anything, talk about anything, and it's out on the airwaves. Or as back in the day, somebody had a dirty record in their house, maybe, but it wasn't broadcast on the radio.
Right.
You know what I mean? There wasn't a video for it on TV where you could go look at it on YouTube. None of that existed. So it was sort of like the dirty little secret. But now with these young ladies, I'm proud of them that they're successful, but I am not proud of the image they put forth as this is what feminism looks like,
or that's being a woman looks like.
Right. That's what I feel like they're doing. They're saying, okay, yeah, this is what this is. And especially coming from, I feel really passionate about it, being a long time hip hop fan. Men in hip hop or black music in general, they have made their way, of course, when they're sexualizing, to making sexual references songs, it's usually derogatory towards women.
Correct.
But the difference with these young ladies now is that they're turning that derogatory thing on themselves.
Right. True.
So that is the thing that bothers me the most. It's one thing for a man to say it and you can fight that. Yeah, you know what? That's messed up. But it's a whole different ugly thing when you're turning it around on yourself.
That's an interesting theory. What do you think about that, Twist?
I actually agree with that. And I don't think that the young ladies of today who are engaging in music and behavior such as what we're seeing even realize that that's what they're doing. I don't even think they realize that, and that's the unfortunate part. But there's something just a little bit deeper about that music situation that I want to discuss.
And what is that?
It's black women in particular who are making these disgusting songs. And I often think to myself, you don't see no Taylor Swift making that kind of music. You don't. Right. I don't know Billie Eilish.
No, Lana Del Rey.
Yeah, you don't see them making that kind of music.
Right.
So what I wonder is, why do women that look like us feel that making this sort of music is not only appropriate, but why is it something you think someone else is going to look at you positively about?
Right.
Well, and it all depends, to me, it all depends on where the attention, what attention are you trying to draw in? You know, the people that would hold, I believe, your opinion, I don't believe these people really care about their opinion. The problem with that is that the everyday American is in dealings with these people with that opinion, such as your boss, right? Who hears this music from black women, and when black women go in to get job interviews or they go into work, they are prematurely judged based off of what they could feel about this music. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a very negative image that's being projected. And you know what? That has far-reaching implications. I mean, when we look at blackness as a whole and just, you know, like our parents having grown up in Jim Crow. Back then, people thought of black women as like, you're just supposed to clean the house and that's it. That's the only job you deserve, right?
Right.
Whereas
not cleaning
now,
the house.
Well, yeah,
we were maids. The maid is the only job you could get.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But now, what these young ladies are doing, I feel like it's setting it back for the girls that are coming behind them.
Right.
Because, and the reason why I bring up the whole Jim Crow thing is that our parents, our mothers grew up at a time when you had to have pride being a black woman. And they carried themselves in a certain way.
Right.
These young ladies don't carry themselves that way. There's no sense of pride that isn't sexualized. You know what I mean?
And well, let's talk about that a little bit, because let's talk about how there are women who believe they should be able to wear their bonnet outside into the airport. And that is not sexy whatsoever.
Right.
But they feel like they should have the freedom to do so, and they shouldn't have to be outside looking cute all the time to be sexualized by other men. They should be able to be free to be, I don't want to say raggedy, but you know, some of them look pretty raggedy when you're out, when you're outside.
But yeah, well, that goes back to what I was saying about like our mothers, right? There's no way I would go out in a bonnet because I was raised like, girl, go comb your hair. You know what I mean? Do something.
I think how feminists must feel is, damn, so don't be sexy, but also I can't have a rough day. So I have to be perfect all the time when my male counterpart can look like whatever. You can be fat, you can be chubby, have mismatched clothes on. You can go in the store with a do-rag or a hat on, but I can't do what I do. And a lot of them say, you know, it's for their hair. So what do you think
Yeah.
about that, Twist?
I think being outdoors with a bonnet on is the most unacceptable behavior that I have seen, I think, outside of pajamas in the store.
Right.
I think bed items are meant for bed or inside the walls of your home. Never to be seen outdoors by anybody else outside of your family members. When you talk about feminism, is that a part of doing what you want to do when you want to do it? Sure. I can see how it would fall under that umbrella to be able to do what you want to do and not be judged. However, my only concern and my only gripe with it is let's pick the positive things to express our feminism. Why does it have to be so negative and derogatory that it makes a whole group or a whole section of women look a certain way that's not positive?
Right. Well, I think all of those are valid and understandable points. It's hard for me, and I sit on the fence with everything because I see both sides. I see what the two of you are saying. However, I could also see what the patriotic feminists would be saying. You know, they also believe they should be able to grow their armpit hair and their leg hair and arm hair, the extremist. So I can see both sides. And when I think about it from a social dynamic, I agree with the two of you. When I think about it as this is another human being who wants to live in their natural state, I also get that too because I have the privilege of being able to do so. I'm raggedy most days. Now, I have my hair combed, but you know, if I want to be outside with the shirt off, I can. If I want to go to the store in whatever looking raggedy, I can do so. Am I still judged? Yeah, by judgmental people, but it's not this huge microscope that I've been put under, such as women are when they're outside every day.
Right. And speaking as one, I'm queen of the buns. Okay, I've not met a pair of sweats and a t-shirt that I didn't like. Okay, but that's in my home. When I go out, I put on different things because I know that there is I should present myself in a certain way so that I can assimilate in society and not be, this antagonized or make people think I'm an antagonist as well, which is, for me, that's what's so bothersome in a way about the new image that we're talking about, because the sexualizing of it, that's what it makes us look like as Black women.
Or women in general.
Yeah, women in general, but particularly Black women. And it doesn't help that we've always had that association, like with slavery days, how they look sapphire and, Black sweet meat. You know what I mean? That's always been a negative. So you're perpetuating that image, in my eyes, by, sexualizing yourself to the extent of the negativity that's been passed on from generation to generation.
Right.
Well, honestly, I don't think having a bonnet on is sexualizing yourself. I think having a bonnet on is showing that you have no concept of pride in your appearance. And some might say that I do have pride in my appearance, and that's why I have a bonnet on, because I'm trying to protect my hair, or I'm trying to protect, whatever the situation. Maybe I went to the beauty shop yesterday, whatever the case. Everybody's thought process is different, but yet and still, I don't think people understand, especially people of color, is that people tend to look at you and think that everyone looks like you. or
Yes.
you do things and they think, oh yeah, that's how they are. That sort of thought process when it comes to people who are looking at you, and that's what bothers me the most. And and you feel like, I know I always feel like that I have to try to look my best, on most days, because I feel like I'm representing for everybody. Now why don't others feel that way? I don't know. But I know that that's how I was raised, and thinking, my mom used to say, girl, you're not going out there to get the mail looking like that. And it was just to the mail. That's just to the mailbox.
Right.
So yeah, as far as what you were saying, Jelly, is that our parents raised us with pride. Have pride in how you look and how you conduct yourself outside of this home. Hell, within the home as well.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure a lot of the youngsters are getting that sort of rearing.
I think that's what's missing. I mean, that's one of many things I think that's missing with our culture today. Our parents, like I was saying earlier, there was a sense of pride that they had and that they exhibited, and that is something it's lacking, in my opinion, today.
I would agree. I agree with those statements. Another thing that I would like to talk about when it applies to feminism is the young girls, hell, not even the young girls. Women of today are getting their bodies modified to try to fit this influencer picture perfect idea of what the desirable body is. And by feminist definition, they should be allowed to do so. However, there's a lot of judgment around that topic as well. What do we think about that?
For me, I am, if Judgy Wudgy was a bear, I judge all day when it comes to this topic. I think these girls are just sad, to be honest. Sad.
Why are they sad?
Because if you can't be happy with your God-given body to the point of going to get these ridiculous BBLs and these freak show breasts and all of this stuff, and it's like, listen, it's all a fad.
Waist snatched.
Yeah, it's all a fad. So when the fad is over, what are you going to do then?
Well, I do have a question to that statement. Considering that most of the population are followers, wouldn't you agree?
I would agree with that.
So as you were talking about earlier in the podcast, you said there's this immense amount of peer pressure that is placed upon women today that was never before. So with that being said, can't we have some grace and understanding and why they may be swayed into such things? And they should have the right to do so. Because if men were able to get body modification, trust me, they would.
They are. Some of them are.
They do
Drake's getting BBLs.
Yikes.
And people are getting abs put in. So I guess that's true.
Well,
yeah, they do it.
They do. You want to go ahead and answer that, Jel, and then I'll come after you.
Yeah, I was just sitting here thinking, I think that's just a larger society problem, that it's kind of drilled into us. I don't know why. In the culture today, that you're just not, a natural person is not good enough. You know what I mean? Your hair needs to be a little bit fuller. Your butt needs to be a little bit bigger. Now, if you're a strong-minded person, you're fine rocking with whatever you got.
Right. Don't you agree? They're going far beyond a little bit, though.
Yeah. And then much like what Twist was saying, like when you get to be my age, and you did some stuff to yourself at 20, it's not going to be, and looks is your primary goal. When you get to be in your mid-50s, it ain't going to be looking good because there's stuff that it don't look right.
That's assuming they make it that long. Women are dying.
Exactly.
They are literally dying on the table trying to fit a certain image. And to me, now that I think about it, it's not really feminism.
No.
Because if it was feminism, you wouldn't be letting society drive your decisions and trying to fit the narrative society's painted for women. What do you think about that, Twist?
I am a believer in, if you want to go and get a little liposuction, if you broke your nose when you were 12 and there's a hump on your nose, the bridge of your nose, I'm all for going in and correcting things. But when you go to body modification to the extreme, like what we're seeing now.
Who's an example that you can think of?
Let me see. Nicki Minaj.
Okay. However, I must say Nicki had that body way before it became popular.
But is it real?
No.
Okay, now stop right there.
Okay.
Now see, this is the pressure. This is the influence. The people that they look up to are getting these things done. So now, so they see Nicki Minaj, and Black China was one of them. Now that, but she has, rectified her body modification, which is kudos to her. But all of the different, Kim Kardashian, for example, now I don't know if her butt's real or not, but
we know that's not real.
Listen, I don't know, but
we all saw the video.
But that whole ridiculous thing, and women, Kim's so pretty, and the whole society, in fact, thinking Kim was so pretty. So other girls want to look like that. They want their body to look like that.
However,
and you know what? Why not just go and, of course, do your workouts, do your dieting? They use plastic surgery for weight loss. They use plastic surgery to make their bodies look very, very strange. And they think that this is what men want. When you hear it all the time on social media, guys are saying this is not what we want. But at the same time, it's like cross messaging, because the girls that look like that have 1 million followers.
Right.
Yeah. And then yet a man will say, well, yeah, I mean, I can play with that, but do I want to take that home? No.
Well, it's interesting. I kind of feel like...
Can I add something?
Go ahead.
I was just going to say that I think for me, it's about body dysmorphia, something that society has made women in particular feel like the natural isn't good. So let me amplify this. And as a result, bad health.
Well, this was what was leading up to my next statement, is that what is the driving force now? As I said before, Nicki Minaj, Kim Kardashian, Black China, all of them have been around, and women did not feel the everyday woman was not on their head to get these body modification. It hasn't been until the blow up of social media by way of Instagram in particular and TikTok that now all of a sudden your everyday 20-year-old, or hell, sometimes 18-year-old, as soon as they turn 18, they're running to the chop shop.
Well, you have to understand something too, is that now it's affordable. When before these modifications were only for the rich.
Right.
So now it is available to the average everyday person. That's why you're seeing such a rise. And that's why you're seeing deaths more than you ever have before when it comes to plastic surgery. Because when you reduce cost, you are reducing quality.
So are you in agreement that following this trend of body modification does not represent feminism, or do you believe that it does represent feminism? What do you believe, Twist?
I don't think it has anything to do with feminism. I think it has everything to do with low self-esteem. And that's it. It has nothing to do with feminism, because we all have everything that each other has. Some are bigger than others. Some are tighter than others. It has nothing to do with feminism.
And what is your decision on that, Jellyroll?
I have to agree with Twist. I think it's more psychological thing.
Mm-hmm.
That to me, I think that's what's driving it. Deep down inside, there's a dislike of something, whether it's image, self, whatever it is. And so I agree. And feminism has nothing to do with it. I think it's something much sadder going on, and it's unfortunate because a lot of people are making decisions that's going to impact them further down the road. Like again, when they get to be middle aged, because there's silicone and stuff in their body, they're going to be sick. They're going to have problems.
Right.
And broke. They can't even fix it. They can't even fix it when the problems do occur.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the sad part, because these things were never meant for the average everyday Joe. And another thing too that I feel is that women, since we are speaking about feminism, I think a part of feminism was empowerment. Okay. And women don't realize the power that they have just being the woman that they are. Not outside of your looks, outside of how big your breasts are and how big your ass is, but the power in which you have to rear children. You are the backbone of the family. And it's like, take your W's where you can get them. It is not all about your aesthetic.
Right.
Women think their aesthetic means everything, but darling, aesthetics are only going to last so long, especially with you getting all this stuff done. You're going to look like hell on wheels in the next 10 years. And then what's left? Let's focus on the power that we yield by just being the women that we are.
Great.
And divers, I would like to mention that the first wave of feminism happened in 1848, where they were trying, as Twist and Jellyroll were saying, they were trying to gain some form of power, to see that they are more than just being in the kitchen and having babies, and that they had an opinion, and that they can work and they can run businesses, and they can show up to the plate equally to a man. And I think that we've gotten away from that narrative. Again, if there's any feminist out there who happen to hear this podcast and you would like to have a conversation with us, we would love to have you on the podcast. But I'm going to continue my statement in saying that we've gotten away from the target goal in feminism, and it's a scary thing because your rights are starting to be rolled back. And it is important that you wake up and that you really look at the bigger picture of things, and that social media is great, but it's all fantasy and it's not real. And trying to live and breathe by your followers and your likes and your reposts and your retweets, that is only going to make history repeat itself. And you may find yourself in a position where all of your rights are gone while you were busy trying to look good and you were busy trying to be sexually free and all of these things. Let's pay attention to what's really happening. Do you guys have anything you would like to add to that?
Well, I do. It's kind of a little bit further back in our podcast when we were talking about the double standard. To be honest, I believe that the double standard is not a bad thing. I don't believe women should be looked at the same way as men when it comes to sexual exploits.
Would you agree that that's because you were taught that, not necessarily because it's right? And my second question to that would be, is because what you were taught and told to believe in, just as people were taught that it's okay to have slaves and that Black people are subhuman, and that they were taught and believed that, and in their life in that period of time it was true, but did that make it right?
That is not why I say what I'm saying and feel the way I feel. The reason I feel the way I feel is because I'm older now and I recognize the impact that many bodies have on your body.
The value of a woman.
No, the impact.
The impact.
And what I mean
Explain.
when I say that is because we are people deposit into our bodies.
Okay.
We're repositories, okay?
Okay.
So when you have several partners and they are all depositing, you actually have a chemical reaction.
Okay.
Not only to one man's semen, but not to mention several.
Right.
Okay? Yeah. Okay, so that's one thing. Number 2, we as women, and I don't care what any woman out there says, and if they say any different, they're lying. When you have sex with someone, there is something called an energy that transfers.
An energy exchange.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when you're having all of these different bodies, not only are you being the repository for all these different people, but you're also being the repository for their energies.
Correct. Which I am a big believer in energy.
And they're not all good.
Yeah. True.
So you're taking all of this in.
Yes.
When they're just getting up and walking away. Now, if someone was to ask me this when I was 25, I would say something completely different. But being that I have the experience that I have and the knowledge that I have, no woman has any business having sexual exploits that have no tie, in my opinion. Now, have I had some one night stands in my day? 1 or 2. And you know what? It was fun. But at the same time, look, if when I was in the dating pool, if somebody ever asked me, well, have you ever had a one night stand? I say, what? Absolutely not. Are you kidding? I would never share that information.
Right.
Okay. Because it's just not appropriate. Now, men have been men since the beginning of time. We can never compare ourselves to them because we're not the same.
Right.
And I know a lot of women like to say, well, they do it. How come I can't do it? Because you're not supposed to. That's why. Because your body is different than theirs is. Your mind is different than theirs is.
Yeah.
Your spirit is just different. Everything is different.
I believe that you guys aren't the only ones that suffer or benefit from the energy exchange. Although I hear what you're saying, I believe men also take away a woman's energy and it sticks with them as well. And I also believe that it changes the BO of their situation. When, you're out here messing with this one, and that one.
For the woman?
For the man as well. Because it also, it changes the way you smell, I'll say. Now,
what smells? Your whole body?
No.
Or your, okay.
Right.
Same thing with us.
Right.
Throws your pH off. It'll be smelling like a garbage dumpster.
Right. So I believe that both sexes can suffer from that. And to any men out there, let me know if you agree or disagree with that statement. Jellyroll, what do you believe?
Well, that's interesting. I never thought that men, maybe I'm, jaded. I don't know. But I never considered that a man would have that kind of thought process when it comes to sex. And you know what I mean? I've always kind of made the generalization that they're like, hey, I'm going to hit it and quit it. You know what I mean?
They talk about it often because you also have to think about it. Men lose, you guys gain something, but men lose something in that sexual exchange.
See, I never realized that. You know what I mean? That's interesting.
As women are the recipients, they're the givers. You received the semen, as you stated it, they lost it. And to anybody that is versed in men's health, they say to spill your seed has many disadvantages for you. And it drains you. And many men, you hear all the time, you walk away from a situation and you feel terrible after. It was great in the moment, but you feel terrible about it. And then you send you into a form of depression. And Yeah, it's different things.
I have never heard that before.
Yeah, I haven't
Absolutely.
either.
You should definitely look into it. And
Just thought they were
so,
all hit it and quit it. Like, yeah, I'm gonna get that. You know what I mean?
well, that's the
Tell me
attitude
something.
because that's the persona that they have to portray. And also, it affects you because you are having sex with all of these different people. And when you go home at the end of the day, you're alone. So that's man's perspective. But today's about feminism. And
So since we're talking sex, with so the way I was raised, I agree with what Twist was saying, but I think that now women have a freedom that we didn't have. So you don't necessarily have to be sleeping with this guy today and then another guy tomorrow, and then a new dude next week. You can be very assertive with your sexuality without just being just out there.
right.
You know what I mean? Like you can get a gigolo.
Not a
You know what I mean? There's
gigolo.
things get a gigolo, right?
Right.
Like, if you're a single woman and let's just say, you don't have time for relationships, right?
Right.
You're a busy person and you want the job done right. You know what? I'm going to hire a gigolo because it's some kind of guarantee that I'm gonna please, and then I'm paying for him to leave.
For the divers
right?
that don't know what a gigolo is, would you like to explain or to rephrase?
I am talking about male companionship that you hire for 2 hours or
Right.
for an evening or for whatever it is you want.
Right.
Maybe you're going to a gala and you need a date. You know what I
Right.
mean? And you don't have no man.
And
because you
many
don't go
people do
out.
that
Yeah.
for those
I mean,
things in particular.
yeah. What did you say?
For those things particularly.
Yeah. I mean, it makes things easy. Now, is that feminism? Arguably, I don't ascribe it to feminism at all. But I think because it's a personal choice.
Right.
But if that's what you want to do, you do you. You know what I mean? I'm not going to say anything about well, you shouldn't be doing that. I just think that we're too wrapped up in our impressions and visions of what somebody should be or what they should do.
Right. What do you think about that, Twist?
I'm not sure I have much to say about the gigolo comment.
Hey.
Now, is it could it be viewed as a form of feminism? Sure, it could. Taking control of the situation.
True.
So yes, in some respects, it could. Do I think that I'm so thrown off by the whole gigolo thing. I'm just I can't even think about what I was trying to say. But
the reason why I bring it up, so I don't know. Well, I don't want to mention any shows because but there is a show about gigolos, and it's an old show, and they're talking about what it's like doing their job, and they're talking to the women that hire them, and it's a particular profile. Oh, I'm a professional woman. I travel for work. I don't have time for relationships, but I want to have the comfort of a man. So, I mean, that's radical, and I think feminist to a D as well. It's something different. Now, does that mean that woman's trying to be a man? I don't think so. I think it solves a problem. But yeah, that's why I brought it up.
I do think there is some form of power in that. To make to create your own situation. I think there's power in that. So if that's what someone wants to do, I have nothing against it. I think that, you should, pay for what you want, they say. So with that being said, I have no problem with it. And do I think it's a form of feminism? Yes, I do.
Well, guys, hopefully you learned a little bit. You have your own opinions. Maybe your opinion was altered by the conversation today. If you were offended, I challenge you to think about what we're saying. We're not judging women. We are not trying to put you down, but we are simply saying, let's look deeper into the mirror when we look at ourselves. And do you even think you're a feminist? Do you think that you play more into the patriarchy? Let us know what you think. You can contact us at generationalcrossroads722@gmail.com to let us know your opinions. Also, guys, let us know if you have any other topics that you would like us to talk about, that you can think of, or that you would like to hear our opinions on. And we may or may not choose it. And you never know. Yeah, guys, let us know what you guys think about everything that we talked about here today in today's podcast. Do you guys have anything else for the divers today?
The only thing that I would say is, Jelly, when you came on early on and said that you did not consider yourself a feminist, at this point in the podcast, how do you feel? Do you still say you have no thoughts of feminism, or would you say that, you feel differently?
I don't feel any different, but I could see how I would be a hybrid, much like you were saying.
Okay.
I still don't describe, but you know what I mean? I still don't own that moniker.
Jelly doesn't like labels, guys. She doesn't care for labels. She's not having it.
Yeah, I'm not having that. I'm an individual.
And that in itself is feminism, as you are a woman. Do you have anything else for the divers today, Jellyroll?
No, I wanted to say how I had a great time.
We loved having you.
Yes, I appreciate having the opportunity to chat, and hopefully I'll have another.
Of course, I'm sure the viewers would love to have you.
Yes, thank you for sharing the topic and inviting me.
Of course. That is all we have for you guys today. Make sure to follow the podcast. Give us 5 stars if you enjoyed it. Again, you can always email us with your opinions or any ideas at generationalcrossroads722@gmail.com.
If there's any gigolos out there, send something to that. Attention, Jellyroll.
Yeah.
This has been In the Deep End with your host Cosmic Twist and special guest Jellyroll, guys. Gone.